I have 5:30, so I'd like to convene this regular meeting for the San Lorenzo Valley Water District for March 6th, 2025. Jen, would you take the roll, please?
President Smalley,
Here.
Vice President Lane, here. Director Hill,
Here.
Director Foltz,
Here.
and Director Largay already let us know he'd be absent.
Yes. Due to an injury. So.
But we do have a quorum, so
yes. Okay. So with that, any changes to the closed session? Yeah. Okay. Oral communications regarding items in the closed session. Any members of the public that want to speak to an item that's on the closed session? Now is the time for that. Limiting your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Does anybody wish to comment on the closed session items? Seeing none online and nobody in the room, we will then adjourn to closed session. We will return to the regular open session at 6:30. Thank you. To reconvene this meeting of the San Lorenzo Valley Water District for March 6, 2025. Jen, will you recall the roll?
yes. President Smalley,
Here.
Vice President Lane, here. Director Hill,
Here.
Director Foltz,
Here.
all right, and then Director Largay is absent.
Yes. We have no reportable actions taken during the closed session. We will be reconvening the closed session after we conclude this open session of the meeting. So with that, we'd now like to transition back to the open session. Any changes to the open session? No, sir. John? Then with that, we will open it to oral communications regarding items that are within the purview of the district, but are not on the agenda this evening. Does anybody from the public want to speak about items that are not on the agenda? I see none online and one individual in the room, which I'm taking it you will wait till the first item comes up. Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we'd like to now transition to new business. First item is the appeal of the dismissal termination of the Director of Operations. Christina?
Thank you. This is the appeal of the dismissal of the Director of Operations. This hearing is being held at the request of the former Director of Operations to be held in open session. Before we start, I want to confirm that you understand that your confidential information will no longer be confidential after this. You're waiving your personnel confidentiality. Okay. And you do not have a representative with you? Okay.
I am my representative.
Okay. And so the way this is going to work is the information related to the appeal was not provided in the packet because until right now it was confidential personnel information. It will be available for public review and inspection following this hearing, but there will be a delay in that disclosure as additional information needs to be redacted in relation to other confidential personnel issues that are not at issue here and not relevant to this, or that are relevant to this matter, but are confidential because they have to do with other employees. To that effect, should other employees be brought up during this hearing by you, Mr. Furtado, or any member of the public that might show up, you may certainly bring that up, but the board will not be discussing confidential personnel information. Should there be any implication of wrongdoing by other personnel, that will not be discussed here. That does not mean that the board is not dealing with other personnel issues outside of this process. So with that, the way this is gonna go is, the interim general manager, John Kunkel, is going to provide a summary of the charges and, what has happened to date and evidence. And then you, Mr. Furtado, may rebut that. You may testify, have witnesses or representatives speak on your behalf. I understand you don't have a representative. And
No,
after
I
that,
am the representative.
correct. And then after that, the board, will deliberate.
All right, thank you. And board members, obviously, you were given a packet that had items that I'll be discussing tonight, and so hopefully you've had a chance to look at that. And so rather than read the entire document, I'll go over and summarize basically the charges and the reasoning that I have come up with this cause for termination. On April 17th, 2024, and as you know, the district hired a person to do an investigation into certain allegations. And as part of that, it came out in the investigation that some of the district's operations personnel were drinking on district property and in uniform. And Mr. Furtado was aware that they were doing that on district property. That's number one. Number two, during the investigation, he was informed that he needed to be truthful and answer questions that the investigator was putting to him. And several instances, he failed to answer questions to the investigator, which amounts to insubordination. And so that's also two of the charges at this point. And during this time, Mr. Furtado offered responses to these charges that I brought. And so far in his responses, there was nothing that would lead me to change my resolve in my recommendation on those charges. He was also asked about apparently a party, and I shouldn't say party, a gathering that occurred here in the parking lot in the back. That was on October 8th. We do have video of Mr. Furtado drinking alcohol on district property, and we also have surveillance footage of him getting into a district vehicle and leaving the location. So he's driving the district vehicle after drinking. And again, that was part of the video that we had. And again, his responses to that, again, did not cause me to change my recommendations. There are other various allegations that have occurred, and I'll just go through them real quickly here. He was in June 19th of 2024. He was directed to attend staff meetings at that time, the interim general manager, and he refused to do so. On the 27th of June, 2024, following written direction and admonishment by the interim general manager, instructing him to attend regular scheduled staff meetings, he failed to attend. You can see his response, and that was that he didn't get along. I'm surmising again, didn't get along with the general manager at that time, and he just refused to attend. And again, to me, that was being unresponsive and not being part of a valued staff member of the staff. On September 18th, 2024, he procured services from a contractor and it was over the limit, so he's in violation of the district's purchasing policy. And so he said that there was no general manager at the time. First, he said that he was directed by the prior general manager, and then he said that the general manager position was vacant. And then on October 15th, he failed to do a staff report when directed, because he did need to do a staff report about going over the amount to present to the board. And his response to me was that people that were equal rank to him were asking him to do that, and that he'd never written a staff report in 21 years. And I just found that not to be responsive and being a team player. On several occasions between I'm sorry, August 13th, 2024, and August 7th, October 7th, excuse me, of 2024. He was asked to provide information about some redwood tanks that had been taken down and were stacked, and was asked to take pictures of them so we can put them on surplus. And he did not respond to that after several attempts to get him to do this via email. And he did acknowledge that he dropped the ball on that. Then during January 13th through 15th, 2025, the engineering department had several requests of him, and they tried to reach him by phone, by text, and by email, and they never got responses from him, and it held up several projects. Finance department attempted to reach him several times also. Again, no response. And then during the week of January 6th through 10th, 2025, I had told all the department heads, including James, to do a capital improvements list, and I needed it returned to me by January 31st. And he never returned that to me, and never, to this date, I don't have it from his department. And so, and his response was, excuse me, let's go back. His response was that he failed to meet the deadline, and he didn't provide me any reasoning for that. So again, to me, that's dereliction of duty, and it's a neglect. And then on January 9th, 2025, the environmental director, Chris, requested information from James concerning completion dates for projects, which was required by Anthem to get our disaster recovery consultants on projects that were money coming into us. He did not answer Chris then. Chris asked for the information again 3 separate times, and never received a response. And finally, on January 31st at 9:15 p.m., an email was generated, and I was CC'd on it. And basically, it was James was upset with Chris for an email that said, "I am still waiting," which meant that he was still waiting for the information. He then said in that email that he didn't have time to review it this last week, even though he's given almost a month worth to do that. He said he would have it by Monday. I responded to both Chris and to James, yes, please have it done by Monday. And that was email. That was at 5:30 in the morning that I emailed that to James. And he did not provide that on Monday. It wasn't until Wednesday of that week that we got that. And again, you can see James's response. Bottom line is that, and you can see my reasons for the final decision. I believe that all these instances and charges just have warranted the fact that I have lost confidence in him to continue to be director of operations. He's put the district in liability and put us in vicarious liability by allowing alcohol consumption. And so, and again, I just see that he's unresponsive in many instances, and it's unfortunate, but I stand by my original suggestion and recommendation that he be separated from service with the organization.
Okay, thank you, John, for the summary. Anything else, Christina? Can I proceed? Okay, James, the board would like to hear from you now. In particular, I would like to hear your responses to your alcohol use on district property, the lack of follow through on what your managers have asked you to do, insubordination, and then the dereliction of duty. So, please.
I have one manager of the district. That's my boss. It's the only person that's asked me to do anything that maybe I did not get done. That's the pictures from the redwood tanks. There is no video of me getting into a district vehicle and driving it after drinking alcohol. If y'all have watched the video, if everybody's been presented with the video, you will not see me get in a vehicle and operate it. When I showed up here on April 17th, I came in after the first leak was fixed with my on-call staff that was not here operating equipment and operating vehicles, who I called in as I came in, and we worked through the night. And I did not let anybody that was drinking operate equipment, operate district vehicles, do anything district related. After hours, any of these employees of the district are not my responsibility. They were already here. None of them showed up here in district vehicles. None of them showed up here in district equipment. They were already there when I got there. I worked diligently for 3 days, day and night, throughout this. Came down to where it was just me and my maintenance supervisor on Saturday to resolve the whole thing, just me and him, because all my people were done. We've never had issues in our operations department. It's the department that runs the water system. We're all certified. Nobody else here is certified. No other department certified. That's what we do. We've never had issues. I've never had a complaint against me. I've never had a written reprimand against me. I've never been on performance improvement plan. Period. I haven't had a performance evaluation in over 5 years. So what's late? What's late around here? Now I'm late because I didn't take some pictures, because I didn't get some dates. It seems pretty petty. And I really don't feel that not one of these non-circumstantial charges is grounds for firing. Nobody's tried to work with me. John's never tried to work with me. Brian Cruz was the one being investigated when the investigator was hired, because he was the delinquent, not turned around on my department. Why? Whistleblowers and people retaliation, defamation of character, and professional stature, as far as I'm concerned. That's what I have to say about every one of those charges and my dismissal from this district.
Okay,
And here's my personnel file if anybody wants to see it.
okay. I don't see anybody else here in the room, James, that you might call as witnesses.
I don't need no one.
Okay.
I am my own witness.
I do wanna.
I don't lie. I don't beat around the bush. I tell it how it is.
I had to ask you that, James. I had to offer that. Before I transition to the board, I'd like to hear from the general public as to whether they want to comment on this. So nobody here in the room. Does anybody who is online wish to ask a question or offer a comment? Again, you're limited to the standard 3 minutes. I currently see nobody online with their hand up, so I will transition to the board. Bob?
Yeah, I don't have any additional comments. I appreciate the information that John's provided and your response. I think I'm
Okay.
have
Yep.
what I need. I have no additional comments.
Okay. Leah?
No, I don't. Thank you for all the information that was provided prior to the board meeting. I think
Okay.
it explained itself.
Okay. Based on what I have heard here then, and from the board, I will make a motion then. that the board find that the consideration of the evidence relied upon by the interim district manager and any additional evidence presented at the appeal hearing, the preponderance of the evidence supports the termination of the interim general manager to dismiss James Furtado as the director of operations of the district and therefore upholds the dismissal.
Or can I make just one change? There was a reference in here to interim district manager.
Sorry, interim general manager.
It was written as district, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I will second that.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
President Smalley,
Yes.
Vice President Lang,
Yes.
Director Hill,
Yes.
Director Foltz.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay.
Y'all are fully aware where this leads, right?
We've concluded this part of the discussion, James. Thank you for your input.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, anything else that we need to
Yeah, just move
address
to
on that? Okay.
Oh, back to the agenda.
Oh, would help.
Okay. Did you let Deputy Madison know that we've concluded that item? On to the next item then. Election for regular and the alternate member of the Santa Cruz LAPCO Commission.
Nice.
Are you leading this?
I am with that. Thank you, President Smalley. You have a staff recommendation that the board of directors, hopefully you reviewed this memo and attached documentation. And motion by the board to authorize a voting designee to execute the ballot on behalf of the district for one of the three candidates for the special LAPCO special district regular representative and one for an alternate member. And you can see that there are 5 people that are actually running. All 5 are running for alternate. I don't know how that happened, but one of them happens to be one of our board members. And so, and then the regular candidates are Jim Anderson from the Felton Fire District, Lena Faulkner, Central Fire District, who came to talk to you a couple of meetings ago, or last meeting. Then Tony Nunez, he's from the Paro Valley Health Care District. Those 3 individuals are running for the regular seat. So whoever you appoint to be your voting member will need to pick one of those 3 individuals as the regular member, and then you need someone to also you pick the alternate again, and all 5 of those individuals, those 3 I just mentioned, Ed Banks, and then Alina Lang, are running for the alternate. So, and again, so you would appoint one person to vote for the district, but I guess it's unclear to me that, but I believe that you can direct that person to vote for an individual. I have no right.
Can I apply for clarification since I've been through this a couple times?
Yes, go ahead, Bob.
So we do, actually, the board is voting for selecting who our vote is going to be for, and then Mark would execute the document.
Okay, as the, okay, sorry, great, thank you.
And individual as the primary and then individual as the alternate.
Yeah,
So we
the board votes, the board makes the selection.
Okay, thank you.
Right. With that clarification then, since Alina is listed as a candidate. A candidate. Thank you, Joe. A candidate for one of the alternate positions. I'd like to hear from you.
Oh, yeah, I think that Lonnie really wanted this, and if she doesn't get the regular, I would support her over me. I think the water district is keeping me very busy. So I'm not gonna have hurt feelings on that. When I signed up for that, I just wanted to be more familiar with LAFCO because we have all these consolidations that are going on and future consolidations. So That's why I originally had thrown my hat into this thing, is just so I can learn more about the organization and, gain more education on this. But, my schedule is really full. And so my feelings will not be hurt if I don't have one more thing to do. So, yeah, but, I do really like Jim Anderson as the regular member, and just for everyone, why I applied for the alternate, not the regulars, because the other regular seat is already held by a water district person, and so we're not eligible for that regular seat, so it would only be an alternate position. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on all of that.
Okay, all right. Jeff?
Jim Anderson looks very qualified. He's been on there for a long time. Unless there's some reason that we don't want him because of his long term on the board there. I would say Jim Anderson is a good choice for the regular seat. And probably I don't know. I don't know how to choose between the others.
Okay. Bob?
Well, the last time this came before the board, we actually did vote for Jim Anderson and Ed Banks, who, from my perspective and what I've looked at and seen from LAFCO and reviewed some of their material, are doing a really good job. And, while I understand there are other people that are vying for the position, I think because of the work that they're doing, we should continue to support them in that activity.
I would comment also that this is kind of an arcane science that they're involved in. So people who know what they're doing are probably very important for this.
Well, it is. I mean, VASCO is a really interesting balance, and that the state and the LAFCO director, the current one, unlike the former one, really are intent on consolidating as many special districts as possible. I'm of the opinion we need as many special districts as possible, given the fact that people closest to their particular needs know best. I think Jim and Ed are both better able to communicate that, given that they've been on the board for their time.
Okay. I listened to what Lonnie had to say. I appreciated the fact that she took her time to be here and was passionate about it. At the same time, I'm appreciating what both Bob and Jeff have just said about the current work that LAFCO has been doing with the representatives, Anderson and Banks, on it. I don't have a strong feel at this, so I'm looking to other board members who do have a stronger to make a recommendation or a motion on this.
So I will move.
Oh,
Point of order.
that we need to hear from the public first.
Yes.
And I meant to say that. So members of the public who want to comment on this, I see Karen Vitale.
I am not actually commenting on the issue at hand. The camera has been trained on the empty dais with the microphone on it and the restroom door behind it for the entire time. It would be much better if we could see the board.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we do anything about that?
Eric, CTV.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, Karen. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I wish I could have gotten tunneled through to make that comment sooner, but yeah, so that's it. I don't have a comment on the subject at hand. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Can we get that change? It looks like it's still
There it is, yeah.
CTV's view.
Yep.
Okay.
CTV.
It's okay. Then pending CTV or contacting them, I still want to continue with with the agenda item. Unfortunately, we don't have the proper view. I expect that everybody from the public who so desires can at least listen to us.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yay!
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Be careful what
When
you
you
wish
got-
for.
Uh,
Have to look at us. Right.
So, back to the item at hand.
Yeah.
So
I know, I just would like to make an argument for Lonnie for the alternate. I really appreciate everything that she wrote in there and that she came to speak with us. I don't really know anything about Ed, besides what they wrote, but I do think that it would be nice to have some more diversity on the board. So.
I'm looking to board members.
I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the president of the board to vote for Jim Anderson for the regular member seat and Ed Banks for the alternative member seat.
I will second that motion.
Okay,
All right. President Smalley,
yes.
Vice President Ling,
Abstain.
Jeff Hill, or
Yes.
Director Hill, and Director Foltz.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on then to the next item, the utility billing policy.
It'll be, Heather.
Heather is leading that one. Okay. Heather?
There she is.
Thank you. Good evening, board. Heather Ipoletti, finance consultant to SLVWD, senior advisor with Regional Government Services. The action before you tonight is to adopt a resolution approving a revised utility billing policy. This policy that you have included in your packet was originally approved in June of 21. In July of 24, the board of directors adopted a resolution approving delinquent water charges to be submitted to the county. At that time, the board requested the policy be brought to the Budget and Finance Committee for review and to consider the process of handling delinquent accounts in the collection process. The policy went to the committee at least twice, and at the October 23rd meeting, members of the committee requested staff to return to the committee with recommendations for two possible changes. Decreasing the time between a listing of delinquent customers is determined, currently December 31, and when the resulting listing is brought to the board to consider for placement on the property tax roll. The second item, revise the delinquent criteria. Essentially, current accounts with a balance greater than 500 are sent delinquent notices and then brought to the board for consideration to place them on the property tax roll. The committee asked the staff to recommend an or criteria. For example, a balance greater than 500 and or delinquent more than 6 consecutive months. After discussion with the committee on October 23rd, 24, this is what they recommended. Instead of reviewing accounts with a delinquent status as of December 31st, review those accounts with a delinquent status as of March 31. And then, it wasn't October 23rd, it was February 13th that this was approved by the committee. But again, instead of reviewing accounts with the delinquent status as of December 31, review the accounts as of March 31st. That gives you 3 more months of possible to capture delinquent accounts, and then expand the criteria to all customers with a delinquent balance exceeding 500 and or delinquent for more than 6 consecutive months. Those are the proposed changes to the policy that is redlined in your packet. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
Okay, questions then. Jeff, comments?
The committee looked at these and pretty much agreed unanimously that this made sense. particularly the change from December 31st reviewing to March 31st. We wanted to get that closer to when people would actually get their bill placed on the property tax roll, because you have the possibility here of 6 months. We just determine this, we send it on the property tax roll, and they clear their bill up. So,
Okay. Okay,
so the committee was unanimous on this.
okay. Bob?
Yeah, one of the things when we passed this originally was that we were going to run it for a while and then see what tweaks needed to be made to it. The thing that's been bothering me about this is the relatively low percentage of dollars that have been captured through the property tax process relative to our outstanding accounts receivable balance. Heather, historically, what has that been running at? Is it around 30% or 40% that we've been able to recapture?
I do not have that data.
Okay.
I'm not going to guess.
I understand, but I mean,
yeah.
I would have imagined that would have come up during the committee deliberation.
We didn't have that information there either.
So, I hate to always come back to numbers, but at the end of the day, for me, it's about what are the numbers going to be? So what's the numbers that we get for doing our current process? What are the numbers we're going to get by doing this new process? Because ultimately what we should be getting up to is getting that receivable balance down more into the 60 to 70%. Reducing it by at least 60 or 70%, more like 2/3 to 3/4. Will this change do that?
I believe what it'll do is it'll speed it up. So I believe it'll reduce it. I don't know if it'll get down to the percentage for which you're requesting. It'll just speed up when people are being sent to property tax roll is what it'll do.
Okay, but
Right.
At some point, we really have to quantify what it is we're doing when we make these policy changes. I'm certain it certainly will be an improvement, but if it only gets us to, let's say, recovering 40, we're recovering 30 now, and it gets us to 40, it's still short of where we need to be.
So it's my understanding that the only reason that we don't recover if we send somebody's bill to the property tax rolls is because they don't pay their property tax, which is because the house was sold or the property was transferred or something like that.
No, there's a teeter process here that we get the money and it's the county that goes and pursues it because they put usurious loan sharking interest rates on the unpaid balance.
Yes, but my point is that the only people that don't pay their property tax as a result of that.
But we still get the money.
Yeah.
Whether they pay their property tax or not is irrelevant. It doesn't matter to us. Anyway, I get the point. This is probably an improvement, but geez, I really would like to get to where we can quantify how much of an improvement it is.
Yeah. To address the question that Bob is asking, I think it would be appropriate, John, to just see where are we historically in last year or the year before as comparative for what we are able to recover. And then that would let us look, since we can't predict the future, but it would at least let us have a sense of what it has been. And then we could see the change going forward with this new policy.
Okay, so just as a maybe precursor for next year, when we look into this again, which we might want to do to see how well this worked, it would be great to have a number of what we got percentage wise and the pro forma if with a proposed change in the policy, because we know what we have those numbers. It's basically a very quick date search on our receivable.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Other comments, Alina?
I think that this makes a lot of sense to put in these edits to that, and I really just want to thank the budget and finance for coming up this and making these changes. So.
Okay. All right. Before we consider a motion, I want to hear from the general public. Does anybody have any comments, questions on this? I see none online. Then I move that the board adopt the resolution approving the revised utility billing policy.
I'll second.
Okay, President Smolley,
Yes.
Vice President Lang,
Yes.
Director Foltz,
Yes.
and Director Hill.
Yes.
Okay. Um, the next is the labor compliance purchase order for the work that we're doing on the consolidations aspect for Breckenridge and Forest Springs.
Yes, and I'll present that. Staff is recommending that we enter into an agreement with 360 PSM for labor compliance assistance with our Forest Springs and Brackenbury consolidation phase 1 project. We have a history of working with 360 PSM dating back to the Lompico tanks replacement project. She also assisted us with the 2020 pipelines project, more recently with our Altavia project, with our 2021 CIP project, and with the Line and Big Steel project. It's a specialty skill that 360 PSM has to assist the district with the complex certified payroll verification and additional forms that contractors must provide to the district to be in compliance with the Department of Industrial Relations, with regards to making sure that all the personnel working for the contractors being paid at least the minimum amount required by prevailing wage laws, and that we have there's an apprentice requirement that they're following those rules, and if they are not working, they have to file paperwork stating that they're not statement of non-conformist, that they're not working that week. And so we've already authorized the construction contract with Anderson Pacific. They are currently potholing West Park Avenue, and we really need to get a labor compliance consultant on the project so that we're not backlogged more than we already are. Staff had brought funding for this project to the board, and at the time we had estimated that the labor compliance consultant would cost approximately $50,000. The proposal before the board at this time is an amount not to exceed $43,436. This will be billed at an hourly basis based on the services that she provides us. So it's possible that we might not spend the whole amount. And with that, I can take any questions that you might have.
Okay. Lena?
I think seems like something that's absolutely necessary, especially to make sure that we are paying prevailing wage, and it'll make things more efficient to go through there. And it seems like it came under what we had expected, so that's always a plus. So that's really all. Thank you.
Okay. Bob?
Gary, thanks for that overview. If you could refresh my memory, what was the bid amount that Anderson Pacific had?
It was 3.2 million.
3.2 million.
Yes.
And of that, how much was going to be covered by the grant?
2.4 million.
Okay, and so we've got then 1.4 the district's going to put in for a total of 3.8.
Yeah, I believe it was 3.9.
Somewhere
About that, yes.
And so this 43,000 and change is all fitting into that overall budget. So we're not going to go over the 3.9.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was this bid, or did we just sort of go out and get a proposal?
We requested a proposal.
Is there a reason we didn't bid it?
This is the procedure that we've done on past projects. So I followed past.
Okay. So, I mean, okay, I get it. I get it, specialty, and maybe they're the only person, I don't know. But in general, for anything this amount, we would typically want to get bids. I'm not saying stop the process. I'm not going to advocate for that. at this point, but going forward, I think we need to, and the other thing is I'd like to broaden out our sort of supplier base, if there's any reason to do that, because hopefully out of that competition, you'll get good price, good or better pricing perhaps. Okay, I got all my questions answered though. Thank you for that.
Okay. Jeff?
So following up on Bob's question, do we have any idea how many other potential vendors there might be that work this area on this type of project?
I'm aware that we had a different labor compliance consultant on the probation tank project. They were based out of San Diego. 360 PSM is based out of Salinas, which is a little closer to us. The past projects that I've been a part of with the district, it seems that 360 PSM has been the labor compliance
So
contractor.
again, following up on Bob's comment, it would be worthwhile to at least take a look and see if there are other vendors that we can ask for bids. But I wouldn't hold this up for that. But going forward on future projects, see if there's somebody else. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of people out there doing this, but it's pretty specialized work. But it's worth taking a look.
I'll follow along that lines also. There have to be similar firms in the San Jose area for sure that provide these services. So, and it's not as though we need somebody in the 30-mile or 50-mile geographic radius of us, because I imagine most of this is done remote review, where we're sending them information and they're
Correct. Certified payroll submitted to her for review.
But they're reviewing.
And then she provides review comments back to the contractor, and the contractor has to respond.
And you weren't here for the Lompico tanks, which is what you cited as one of the first projects that they were working on. I would hope that
I worked for Mercedes Miller as the construction management for that project.
But to my comment on that is, I would hope that the district had obtained, if not competitive, but bids on it. And that's how we got to 360 PSM, through a more competitive process rather than sole sourcing, which is what we're doing here. So yes, I have to concur with, go out and seek for a next project others also. Okay. Before I make a motion, anybody from the public want to comment on this? Seeing none, then I move that the board directs the interim general manager to execute the labor compliance contract with 360 PSM in an amount not to exceed $43,436.
I'll second. Oh,
Okay,
President Smolley,
yes.
Vice President Lang,
yes.
Director Hill,
Yes.
Director Foltz,
Yes.
passes.
The Redwood Park SCADA contract.
Yes, so this is for the district's DWR tanks project at the Redwood Park site. So we currently have a pump station at Highway 9 and Scenic that pumps water from Highway 9 up to the swim tanks. The new site proposed is just down the street from the swim tanks, and it's going to be called the Redwood Park tank. We will need a pump station at Redwood Park that's going to pump up to the spring tanks. That's at the very top of the hill up Scenic. And so part of the upgrade is to provide new SCADA equipment. We currently use Emerson for our equipment. So district staff contacted Emerson Power and Water Solutions for a proposal, a quote for new SCADA and RTU units. our older equipment operated off phone lines, and anytime the phone lines go down, we have to send staff to the tank site to visually check the levels. Having updated equipment is advantageous because we won't have to use the phone lines anymore. Instead, we'll be using Ethernet or wireless. And another thing is the parts are kind of obsolete at this point, so it's hard to get replacement parts if things break. So it's a good idea to upgrade our equipment for the new pump station and the new tank site. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay. We'll start with Bob.
So the tank's been built though, right?
No,
No. Wow, we're into year 6, I believe, on this. Okay.
we did complete the pipeline improvements,
I
but not the tank yet. The tank's being designed by Nasidi Miller Engineering, right?
understand that.
Okay.
Just for history, we were go, got to get something done in order to get that tank in 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Anyway.
Okay.
So this is probably opening up for me a much broader conversation about SCADA, because I've seen a number of these Emerson proposals and we're just getting reamed. I mean, this is a proprietary system we've got, right?
Correct.
We are just getting reamed. Now, I started my tech career in an age where, everything was proprietary, and we certainly made a ton of money on it. But everybody ultimately went, Ethernet, and prices dropped substantially. Are there any open source or more sort of customer friendly solutions for SCADA other than continuing to get reamed by these guys?
I'm not as familiar with the SCADA system as the electricians on staff. The proposal was, sought by.
No, I get that. So
Okay.
So at some point we may want to take this on as a engineering committee project and possibly pursue grant funding for replacing proprietary equipment with something that has multiple vendors that we can select from.
Yeah, you want an open system.
Because we're just getting, 200,000, $250,000 for one site.
It's not to exceed.
Yeah.
We understand that, but it's going to be 190.
When we got the letter, it indicated that it was confidential and private and that we couldn't post it in public for some reason. So I requested.
Proprietary people don't want anybody to know what they're doing.
I understand. So we requested a redacted version of the offer. And so that's what's included in the memo.
Right.
And so the amount will not exceed that. We have the number that they gave us, but we have to include tax and shipping.
Right.
And there's an escalation fee if we do it in 2026, if we don't get it done in 2025.
I am so tired of being held hostage by these kind of vendors. It drives me crazy. Anyway, so from this tonight point of view, it sounds like we have no option because it is proprietary. But guys, we've got to get out of this.
So comment here, please. Took me 5 seconds. HTTPS rapidscada.org. The headline says Rapid SCADA, free open source full featured SCADA software.
So
investigate.
Not yet.
Just investigate.
Are you good with your?
I'm enraged.
I understand. Are you done with your comments?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff.
I'm done.
Okay, Lena.
Were you gonna say something?
It's my experience that every city that I worked in, SCADA it's the only item used. I'm sure there may be something, but I have never had any entity that I work. SCADA is kind of like, it's like the monopoly of all systems. And it's unfortunate, but until it's kind of like Microsoft with computers, there's just, you can get a Mac, but it doesn't integrate very well. So just saying, but anyway.
You kind of answer what I was gonna ask is what are the other water districts in the area using? talk to them and seeing if
Guarantee
there's
they're all
anything
using the
else.
same
Yeah, I've never heard anybody use anything other than skate.
I did have a question similar to, I think, what Bob was bringing up. Is this a legacy system that we have that we're just kind of perpetuating the legacy because, well, we have this old system and we have to use them because this is what we've been, and we're continuing to go out. The board has some angst with this, is the feel that I have, at least of this end of the day. Most we have some angst with it. When do we need to issue a contract with this? Because the tank's not built yet, right?
The tank's not built yet. The design is supposed to be completed in September of this year.
Right.
And then we can go out to bid for the construction.
Okay.
My understanding is this equipment takes a while to build. So once you sign,
Emerson SCADA.
yes, once you sign the contract, they will start building your equipment. And that could, for instance, the Fall Creek Fish Ladder, we had a delay on the motor control center for Tesco.
Yes.
And that took another 6 months, even though we had the creek restored.
Right. But okay, so the tank won't, we're not gonna have design complete till September.
Correct.
You're gonna bid it after that.
Yes.
The contract to construct the tank goes out January next year. But
I hope to have it out sooner than that.
November this year.
Yeah.
November this.
As soon as I get the bid package, I want to put it out to bid.
Again, I'm just trying to get it about time.
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking. I'm not looking for.
I expect construction in the spring, summer of 2026.
Okay, spring, summer 2026.
Yes.
So that's a year plus from now. That the tank's construction starts. Tank construction will be done 6 months after that?
Yes.
9 months after that?
Be done before winter.
Okay, so done before winter. So we gotta have a SCADA system ready before the end of next year.
Yes.
And we have to give Emerson a contract now?
I think if we wait, they'll give us a new offer with a new price, and the price only goes one way.
I understand there's a possibility of that. But is there a consultant that focuses in on this type of these types of systems that we might be able to ask the question? I'm just saying for a month's pause, not years.
My fear would be that if we wanted to change, we would have to upgrade the whole entire system. I don't know if we can
Investigate
put
that.
one part into an existing system.
And by the way, that may very well be the change. I mean, my first thing that hit on the search was top 15 SCADA companies. So, I mean, this isn't Emerson's the only game in town, but I think what it is once you commit to one, you're probably stuck with that.
Yeah.
Right.
This does look like at least a market research firm, whether they're a consultant or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, but I don't think that the board should be trying to manage the acquisition of a contractor or the equipment manufacturer, but I think the questions that we're asking, are we married to them forever? Is there anybody else out there? And I understand that staff probably can't answer that question, given the technical aspects of this. But I expect that there are consultants in the low voltage arena that could assist us with answering that.
I get an email every month from
Does this sound, or, I mean, to the rest of the board right now, does this sound?
Well, it reminds me of being an Animal House. Thank you, sir. May I have another? I mean, we just keep getting it every time.
But I'm looking for a different.
There are consultants. I'm sure we can find one.
Yes.
And is there a board member here that might have better input into who a consultant might be? Is there a board member at the end of the table that might have better input into?
He says he gets once a month emails.
I get emails all the time from various consultants and stuff, and some of them are SCADA consultants. Unfortunately, I dump them all, but
they're permanent.
Is what I'm asking here reasonable to take a pause on this, given we don't need this system for another 18, 20 months?
So Mark, just a quick search, SCADA System Supplier Consultants, Tech Engineering, Enterprise Automation, Trinity Consultants.
There's a bunch.
Again, I'm certain there are consultants out there that would be able to comment on, okay, here's what you have, district. Here are some other vendors of options, or if not a complete, one-to-one with what we have right now, but some other, I don't know if it's other technology, or I'm searching for somewhere where we're not married to Emerson, because we've seen this before. Emerson again, Emerson again, Emerson again. And I think that they probably see that we're beholden to giving them the contract. So they know they know we're coming sole source.
Yeah, that's we're dependent upon the kindness of strangers.
But again, I'm asking the question. I'm looking for, is this reasonable for us to take a pause, or are we?
Yeah, in my opinion, you're rolling the dice. You can get them. You know, you might have to go back to these same people, and it might be a little bit higher. But at least you know. I mean,
Is there an end date on this proposal? What's
right?
Yes, so the proposal has already exceeded the date in the offer letter. We've contacted Emerson and they've indicated they will honor the offer letter currently. They are wishing to schedule a visit to our Kirby treatment plant because we have additional tank sites in the 2023-2025 budget.
Yes.
There we need RTUs. I think it's Brookdale and Quail tanks.
I sure as heck don't want to be. I mean, one thing to say tonight, we might be forced to. I sure as heck don't want to start making big commitments to other sites without doing a pause and taking a look at this. I mean, this is a $250,000. This is outrageous.
It's less than that. It will not exceed 200,000. It was. It was proprietary.
I'm in awe of your certainty, but if these guys are proprietary and they got us, well, we won't go there, but they got us. Man, they're going to ram that right up to the edge.
Is this Emerson? They're dealing with the other water districts in the area too, or are they using someone else?
I don't know what system the other water districts use. The district electricians brought this to me and asked me to take it to the board, and I offered to do that.
Yeah, no good deed goes unpunished. We got
So we're gonna pin you for volunteering to bring this in front of us.
Sure. So we want to know: are we married to Emerson forever? Is there an open source we can use, like as an alternative?
Right. Yeah.
And then at that point, we can bring it back.
That's.
you have next meeting, or you need a.
I will get with Octavio and we'll figure it out.
Right. Or if you need outside assistance, I don't know who though to suggest as a low voltage or systems consultant to be able to maybe not on this one, but for the bigger picture of what you're already saying. They want to come and look at the Kirby Street plant because they know we're going to need other stuff coming up next year.
It's one of the problems we had at the Echo Tank site was the communications, the AT&T lines went down, and then our pumps, they just keep going and they don't turn off, and then they're overflowing.
Yeah.
And so now we have to send staff up there every day to say, okay, let's run the pumps for 2 hours today.
Right.
And it's overtime.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
That adds all up fast too. So how much are you saving?
So, you're okay bringing this back to us in 2 weeks? Then?
Of course.
Okay.
I will bring it back.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, then we are not going to take action on that item. Anybody from the public want to comment on what we've just discussed? Go. Then we will move on to the next item. The Verizon wireless cell tower lease agreement.
Yes, so this is about a lease for space at our Lion Water Treatment Complex site located off Highway 236. Staff has reviewed the proposed location of the cell phone tower, and operations has indicated that it's not a problem to lease the space out for them. We will have a cash positive. They'll be paying us every year to the tune of $17,000. That will be in equal monthly installments once they start construction. So in order for them to build their cell tower, they have to get planning approval from the county. They'll have to get a building permit approval from the county. So they're in process right now with planning approval. They've already made a submittal and received plan review comments back. And they've gone to the site and done some geotechnical drilling so that they can figure out how they're going to support their cell phone tower, probably with a drilled pier. Staff was able to negotiate with them about when they leave the site that they will remove all their equipment, remove everything up to 5 feet below grade. Typically, we provide 36 inches of cover on top of our pipe, so that should give us adequate space in case we need to run a water line where the lease location is at the Lion Complex site.
It looks like a tree, right?
It looks like a tree. And so, Don, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Okay. I'll start this one then. I assume Verizon is aware of the access issue to the Lion treatment plant, if you're saying that they've been up there already. And
Yeah, so we've made Verizon aware that currently the district has proposed to build a brand new road off of Madrone around the big steel tank and up adjacent to our solar panels to the elevation of the tank site. We've also alerted Verizon that it's possible that this road might be in the distant future because it's a very expensive project. And so the current access is on our existing road that has a slope failure.
right.
Yes.
They are existing conditions as they are.
They are
They're not there. I don't want them counting on future as to what might happen with new road construction. They're aware of current conditions then. Because they've been out.
Current conditions.
Okay.
Yes. And we made sure that they're aware of the proposed road because we didn't want to have a conflict if we need to go in and build this road.
Yeah. Okay. On page 112 of the agenda packet, item 5, there is an access requirement there in that for the width of the road. And do we meet that access requirement?
On page 112.
112 of the agenda packet is what I wrote down. Yeah. Yeah. There's an access requirement there that states what they are looking for us to provide.
I don't think that's
Oh, I see. It's on page
116.
116, not 112. Oh, okay. Sorry. The new agenda.
Oh, yes.
Sounds like a legal question.
Yes,
I don't know.
And then the follow-on to that would be, what if our access fails further?
Yes.
What is our liability in the event? Because if we're not completely excluding that road from our indemnification or liability or what have you, I ain't ready to vote for the agreement.
Yeah, because if the road fails outside of our control, we're already taking supplies. From what I've heard in the past, we're already taking supplies in there on a mule or something like that.
And their equipment could cause the road to fail.
They're bringing in more than that.
They're bringing in some
But if the road fails for other reasons, environmentally, the next set of storms that come through, which is what's caused it now. When that happens, what's our liability on that? So
I will tell you this access provision
Mhm.
is adhesive. They're not going to enter into an agreement where they're putting in a tower
Mhm.
that they potentially can't use for periods of time or access. And so if there's a safety issue or a foreseeable issue with access, then that is not considered in this agreement. And from what I recall, I know we've reviewed this one over this, right? It's been circulating for a while. Then you have a breach of contract liability.
Right.
And so because you are promising 24/7 access.
Exactly. For something that is out of our control,
It is already failing.
from the next storm that comes through.
But but just to be frank, I mean, I worked on a lot of these Verizon leases before.
Right.
This access is it has to be in there.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even though you might have covered it with them, that's not I go to the agreement. I don't care about what we
So
talk.
how do we reflect our either concern or the lack of ability to guarantee that access in the event of, in particular, the next environmental condition?
Mark, what you say is they won't sign it if the.
Yeah, I mean, you can try to negotiate an written acknowledgement by them of those conditions in this agreement, but outside of that, I mean, I would agree if it's not in the four corners of the agreement, then you're not covered by it, by any verbal acknowledgement or otherwise.
Have they been to the site?
Yes, they've done environmental review, they've done a survey, they've done utility locate and geotechnical drilling.
But I want something more than a verbal.
Right.
Yeah. Which
You
is
need to have it in the agreement somehow, or an addendum of some sort. Or
something acknowledging, getting them to acknowledge the fact that there are conditions for that road that are out of our control. We've had, the road has had slippage in the past due to winter storms. We have attempted to do some repairs. Based on excessive cost, we haven't been able to fully do the repairs. Something along these lines to at least put them on notice.
And in addition to that, Mark, if they're bringing heavy construction equipment up there, there may be an issue with that as well, depending on
a crane and.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to bring up, but
machine for.
It's going to be heavy, and have we checked with our geotech guys to say that yep, it can support that kind
that
of
the road can't.
Yeah,
No,
Because Verizon is doing the geotech or has done geotech at the site for their peers to see that the ground can, but they haven't done any assessment on the road that they're bringing this stuff in and out on. So all of this is a concern to us. How do we better reflect these concerns in some written fashion? If it's not part of the agreement, some addendum to it that recognizes this. So
Yeah, if there's a potential access issue, then
There-
we should negotiate that.
there
Definitely is.
there is, yes. Okay.
I mean, having said that, I would very much like to be able to execute this. I'm not sure why the price is different from the other lease we have, but I do know they have serious coverage issues in town, and it would be really nice to get this up to get rid of them. So I didn't think they'd ever do this, but I'm assuming it's going to take care of the issues we have down at this end of town. So let's see if we can make it happen. But I don't think
What
we
was the price difference, Bob?
this is 17, right?
That was the other one?
25. And I think it's actually gone up because I think we had a escalation clause in it.
I think it-
Yeah,
I think it
this has an escalation clause to 10% a year.
But the other one has an escalation clause in it that's already starting more than this.
Right, and I'm like, well, why then? Now, again, I didn't go do deep research into it to figure it out, but I do recall that there's a material difference between, and I'm just curious why.
Yeah. So who's the other agreement?
Verizon.
Yeah.
One presumes they know about it then.
I mean, the only two companies that have a decent coverage are, well, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
So,
Let's put that on the map.
we've heard from, I think Jeff also on this, your comments on it. Alina?
Oh, I think these are very valid concerns as far as the road and concerning the contract, but I think for emergency reasons, I would really like to see us, get this tower up so people have better cell coverage up in this area. Especially since, we've had the issue in the past of possibly losing landlines that we start moving forward in this. But I think we need to flush out this access because we could have a bad storm and then we're, liable for that.
I would definitely encourage that we address the Lion Access Road as a priority project.
Yeah.
It's from 2017.
Wow.
And FEMA's gonna run out of patience at some point, right? But my understanding was that there was all this engineering work that was going into proving that we could put in an alternative access. Once we have that proven, then yes, we need to do a project to do that.
What's being held up right now with the road?
Money?
So right now we have a geotechnical report from 2018 and 2019 that indicates we could repair the existing road for around $15 million. We went to FEMA and asked for a alternative project to build a brand new road. Right now, the estimate for that is around $8 million.
How many?
8 million.
8? Okay.
We still haven't completed the engineering design. The engineering contractor indicates that the design of the retaining walls required is not in their scope, so we would have to pay additional engineering fees.
We're not going to resolve or accelerate that project this evening. It's not part of our discussion, but
Okay.
to your point, that's it's a long time out there before we can do anything on a new road. It's a long time, longer than the period that I'm sure AT&T wants to wait to get something resolved on this. I think that between staff and our council, they can come up with language that you can bring back to the board that addresses our concerns for district not being able to control completely access to that road, potential risks for heavy equipment coming in on that road and the damage to that road for what Verizon's going to be doing.
Hey, if they want to help build a new road, maybe there's a deal where they don't have to pay anything.
This height,
Well, here's the ask, right?
And in addition, yeah, no, but in addition to those first two, why is this 17,000 and your last one with us was 25,000?
Probably market value of the property, but we can confirm that when it comes back.
I'd like to know that also. Yeah, it's a simple question too, though. And I'm willing to bet that their appraiser would come back with similar to what you said, but I want them to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that, I know the question. It says the right to access. We wouldn't say they can hike in, right? I mean, we're not saying they can't do that.
I want them to be aware of that then, in whatever, in writing.
It doesn't say you need to be in there. No.
Right. Helicopters. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Okay. Then we're going to table a motion on this item for this evening. Does anybody from the public want to comment on this item? Seeing none, we are continuing to lose attendees. Yes. So with that then, we could move to the consent agenda. One item on the consent agenda, minutes from February 20th. Anybody from the board? I see nobody wishing to pull that. Given that, we'll take that as a unanimous vote to approve. District reports. The monthly finance status report and committee meeting minutes. Does anybody from the board want to question or comment on either of those?
I do not.
Okay, given that then, we'll conclude, this open session and, we will re-adjourn back to closed session. I'm guessing right now, half an hour to 40 minutes, that we will be, in closed session again.
Just real quick, did I miss a public comment opportunity on the consent agenda?
Probably did.
I did not ask for that.
Or on the reports. You might as well go and ask. people.
Right. Anybody from the public want to comment on the consent agenda or the, meeting minutes
District reports.
or the district reports? Right.
All at once.
I see nobody,
We continue to lose.
right.
Maybe not, but we gotta.
Can we say anything about district reports on
Okay.
36 or no?
Oh, yeah, we can do it under, comments. We were talking about the road 236, the, pothole. So basically, we got a call Friday afternoon, late Friday afternoon with Caltrans saying, hey, right there in front of, what's it called, Moses Cabins or whatever. There's this leak and it's our fault. They wanted us to go put a trench plate over it. And so first thing that Gary and I talked about was, well, if we do that, then we're accepting responsibility because we believe that it's not our problem. It's actually a drainage problem from the Caltrans project. So to that end, we didn't do anything. It's still running, but the good news is I did see Caltrans trucks out there working on it. So again, I don't know where this is. I haven't had any more conversations with Caltrans, have you?
We received an email from Caltrans directing us to place a trench plate over the pothole for the safety of the public. We forwarded that email to legal for appropriate response.
We have yet to respond.
We haven't.
But yeah, my feeling is if until legal response, if we do that, then we're kind of accepting responsibility and we're not ready to do that.
And it was tested and there was no chlorine, correct?
Correct.
Yes, and so I think just like I've gotten a lot of questions I have about it that they're thinking it was the water district and it seems like it is not our water coming out of it. So just to make that clear to the public.
It's not our water. I think that an appropriate fix would most likely be.
Point of order. We did have comment. Are we diving into discussion?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yes.
ask.
Okay.
I didn't see anything specific
not.
to this
There
on the
isn't.
agenda, and so.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda.
We can come back with an update on it, but as always, the board members can ask questions or could ask John
Sure. Right.
questions outside of board meetings, as long as there aren't more than two of you.
Okay. So are we ready to adjourn the open session?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then we will, for now, close this portion of the open session and we will, report back after we conclude the closed session discussion.
Eric, we're back at 8:30. And we're back.
So we're good?
I believe we're gonna get some open here. Yes, and we have 3 people.
Okay. I want to report that, the board took no action on the items on the agenda for the closed session. With that, I want to formally adjourn this meeting. So that's it.
Awesome.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks, CTV. Thank you, Eric.
Okay.